Yes, people, welcome back to Albert JTV for your very first early morning weekly surgery. Smash that like button, as I like to say. But people, before we get into it, with my Sky Sports royalty next to me, let's hit the intro. Welcome to a weekly surgery special. Hashtag episode 20. The transfer window is now officially shut. Premier League clubs have been busy. Deals have been done. Joining me once again on Albert JTV is the brilliant at Tom White Media from Sky Sports News. Welcome to the Transfer News Show. And there you have it, people. Happy Thursday morning. Like I said, welcome back to Weekly Surgery, episode 20. Yes, I would have liked to have done the show a bit earlier, but the availability and people have got busy lives outside of football and working. So, I'm glad Tom's agreed to come on again. Feels like long lost family getting Tom back on. But Tom, welcome to Albert JTV once again, and welcome to Weekly Surgery.
Always a pleasure. Delighted to be here. Every time I see that intro and I see that retro Arsenal shirt, I'm like, oh God, that is just a thing of beauty. A thing of beauty. And that the little cartoon that you've got in the away one from that season.
Yeah.
Even better.
Tom, as I said to you before we went live, when you're coming on, the intros have to have more effort than before. So glad to get you on. People, audio listeners, as I always say, you will not be forgotten. So this will go out on my Spotify and Anchor, so you can hear my South East London dulcet tones. Dulcet, not dulcet, people, because my accent, and obviously Tom's North East dulcet tones as well. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad to get you on, Tom, because transfer time is obviously busy for yourself. Inundated. But before we get into it, Tom, the sort of the main parts of it. Bit message there from Doug. Doug, thank you. You know what, Doug? Good timing, because Tom obviously is a big, massive Sunderland fan. I want to get that important stuff out of the way first before we talk about Premier League. Tom, I messaged you I think it was last week, because I saw the fixtures who you was playing, and as people might be aware, I live in the South East London area near Millwall Football Club. So I wanted to make sure Tommy was all right, because they can be pretty raucous down here. So I thought I'd send you the coordinates if you got into a bit of trouble. But how was the game, mate?
No, it was good. Yeah, Millwall away was great actually. I all of this like, oh yeah, you got to be careful at Millwall away. Got to be careful. You don't even see a Millwall fan because you're kept so separate. Yeah. It's probably the safest away day I've ever had. But wow. Loved it. We we didn't. I'm not even sure if there are any away pubs near the ground anyway. But it was like all the Sunderland fans met at London Bridge, where there's like 3 or 4 that are kind of ready for you. And then get to the ground in time for kickoff, and you're shipped out afterwards. There was no trouble whatsoever. I'm not having any of this nonsense about Millwall fans. They were the Millwall fans that I did bump into were absolutely great, but in general, you were kind of kept away from it. There was nothing to worry about. Touch wood.
That's good. I thought you'd be all right, Tom. But I thought, let me ask you if you got into the game, because if there wasn't, I don't live too far from the ground, so just drop me a message, just come and get you. But,
yeah, you can be my bouncer.
Yeah, you know what? Because it's weird, because where the ground is, there isn't anything near it. So you're probably the best off getting like you said, you're drinking by London Bridge, so that's probably the best way. But yeah, listen, it's tight down the Championship, Tom. I want to ask you, really, how's obviously since Alex Neil went and then Tony Mowbray's come in, how's he done since he's come in, mate?
It's really, as Sunderland fans, this season we're just actually able to, for the first time in a long time, just enjoy life. And you'll know, as a football fan, usually you're fighting for something. As a Sunderland fan, you're either fighting against relegation or for the 4 seasons in League One, and then years and years before that, fighting to get promoted. This season, it's like all we want is to not be in a relegation battle.
Yeah.
And I love the Championship. You've got, you got 46 games rather than 38 in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And it's some more games to look forward to. And I didn't think we'd be in a relegation battle. I didn't think we'd go up. We can just enjoy it. Like, you can watch a game and think, okay, we didn't win, but actually things aren't that bad. You're not devastated at the end of the game if you lose, because we don't think, hopefully, that we'll be in relegation battle. So I mean, I think any football fan can kind of relate to that. Like a nice season where you don't have to worry about anything is actually quite a welcome break.
Yeah, no, you got a good result actually against Millwall because I looked at the table. I think from Watford in 5th down to Hull in 12th, it's only like a 5-point swing. So
yeah, it's true. When we played Middlesbrough a couple of Sundays ago, there was a 4-point gap. So if they'd beaten us, you've got, they're 7 points ahead of us, and that's hard to get near. Because we beat them, was 1 point in it. And so, I mean, really, that really is the definition of a 6-pointer. And that took us to 1 point off the playoffs. Yeah. Whereas if we lost 7 points, Middlesbrough would have been 7 points ahead of us. That's what the championship is like. But I love the championship. Absolutely love it. And I know Doug there. Yes. I don't think we're going up that season, but that is nothing to be kind of upset about. Enjoy this season and hopefully we'll build. But I'm enjoying the championship too much to worry about getting promoted.
So if it does happen, listen, it'd be a pleasure to meet you. Listen, when you play yes,
both home and away. We'll go home and away. If we go up, me and you will go home and away, 100%.
So I'm not a drinker, so a lemonade or a Coca-Cola will be fine for me.
Well, if you come up to the northeast, it'll not be the drink you want. It'll be well, I don't know if you're married, but the northeast ladies are what you're after.
Well, Tom, don't make me blush already, but you can't tell obviously because of my complexion.
My wife, by the way, is making is making a drink behind this thing, and she's just giving me an absolute death stare because she's not a northeast girl, so she's thinking, "What are you talking about?"
So look, I don't want to get a death stare. I don't want to be sleeping on the couch for the next couple of weeks. It's fine. You're right. You're right. But no, big ups people in the chat because obviously 9:10. I've got work myself, and but it's fine because Tom's coming on. I'll make time for Tom 100%. But no, Tony Mowbray, I think he got a 2-year contract. Was it, Tom? What was your thoughts when you knew he was coming in? What was your sort of immediate thoughts?
Well, I think most Sunderland fans were quite underwhelmed by it. But the thing is, what you've got is when the club is running the way ours is run, where you have a sporting director who genuinely signs the players. Managers will always say, or head coaches will always say, "Oh yeah, I look for players too." Really, this setup is very much the sporting director. He signs the players. The head coach is told to work with them. Right. The head coach, I'm sure, can still say, "All right, I like this player. Can you have a look at him?"
Yeah.
So what you need, whether you agree with that system or not, what you need is a head coach who is going to accept it. In any club, it's like when Newcastle fans hated Mike Ashley, and they loved Rafa Benitez. It's like, well, he owns the club. If Benitez doesn't like that, it's not going to work. But good manager, but it's not going to work. When Steve Bruce got the job, at least he kind of accepted this is the way it is. I will get on with it. So Mowbray taking the job, it's like, well, he understands the kind of project, as they call it. And in that case, if you've got someone that accepts that understands that project, then it's like, well, it can work, and that's what it is. I would have at the time. I wanted Sean Dyche.
We'll come on to him.
And I actually think at the time we maybe could have persuaded him, but not if he wasn't signing the players. So Tony Mowbray, I think at the moment, as Sunderland fans, I think we're quite happy. We're happy. So fair play to him. But I loved Alex Neil, and he left, and haven't really quite got over it yet, if I'm honest.
Tom, you got to let it go, mate. I know it's hard, mate. I know that as an Arsenal fan. Trust me, you got to let it go. But people joining, obviously, weekly surgery is obviously. As people know, I'm an Arsenal fan, but the weekly surgery sort of show is not just Arsenal related, it's football related in general. Ideally Premier League, but it gives me a bit more scope to get more other fans on of other clubs, which I love, by the way. Much I love Arsenal, sometimes I need a bit of a kind of a YouTube detox from Arsenal sometimes, but it happens. But so I'm gonna get into it. Where's it gone? We're gonna sort of tackle this from 3 points of the Premier League spectrum. So I'm going to start with the sort of the relegation battle kind of thing. So this question to you. We'll incorporate sort of transfer talk within it. What clubs do you think are at risk of going down? Hashtag there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I had the table up in front of me just to kind of look at the points and stuff. I think Southampton are in big trouble because I don't think you see like when you are a fan of the EFL, and I like to see myself as an EFL expert.
Yeah,
Nathan Jones is very, very highly rated, right?
yeah, he is.
But getting a job in the Premier League is very different. Like, ooh, that is a huge step because Luton, he had the run of the club at Luton, right?
Yeah,
And I used to live in Luton. You'll never hear me say anything bad about Luton, but managing the Luton players and managing Premier League players, regardless of that club,
yeah,
very, very different. And I wondered if his methods would work. Now, I don't know if the players have taken to him. I don't know, but the fans haven't. The fans have just never had
no,
him. So I think in that sense, that's that's going to be quite difficult for him. So I think Southampton are in big danger. At the start of the season, I thought Bournemouth would be all right.
mm,
I'm not so sure anymore. I've got to be honest. I think
yeah,
those bottom two, I think, are in real danger. I think Everton will be fine because
Dash,
massive fan of Sean Dyche.
mm,
Absolutely love him, and I think that he will get them safe. Their squad is actually okay. And then, other than that, looking above that, West Ham. I think I probably told you before. I'm not David Moyes' biggest fan, just from
yeah, yeah,
from his time at Sunderland. It was
mm,
I can't believe he got another job after his time at Sunderland, to be honest with you.
wow,
But I do think they'll be okay. And that makes me look at Leeds and Leicester, because I think Wolves will be okay. So I think it will be one of Leeds, Leicester, and maybe still throw West Ham in there, but I doubt it. I think if West Ham decide to make a change of manager, even though I'm not a huge fan of David Moyes at
no,
all, I
yeah,
actually think it could be detrimental because I think he probably keeps them up.
yeah. Now, Tom, you know what? At the start of the season, I think Arsenal analyzes in the chat because I gave my predictions, but one of them I did one of the clubs I did say I think would go down to be Leeds. And people were
Right.
like,
Okay.
they're quite surprised. I said no. I said I know Marcelo Bielsa done a fantastic job in getting them up, and the football was quite a helter skelter, but they conceded way too many goals, and they
Mhm.
managed to. You got Jesse Marsh in, obviously he's gone now, and he did keep them up. But I wasn't too convinced them staying up, and I think they could get dragged into it. They got some good players there, Tom. I like Wilfred Noncho, really good.
Yeah.
Average winger, but Bamford's been injured for more or less for about the last 12 months or so, and they don't really score a lot of goals. Rodrigo's out as well. As for Bournemouth, Gary Neal obviously had a bit of a bounce when he came in, and obviously got given a job, but they've given themselves a chance. Tom, I always say when it comes to the January transfer window, I think they bought in, I think it's either 4 or 5 signings. I think they bought Bournemouth.
But then, in fairness to them and Southampton,
They
they
backed him.
tried.
Yeah,
They really tried in January. So you've got to say they haven't just accepted relegation. Both of those bottom two, they spent a bit of money and back their managers.
Mm. Yeah, you make a good point about Nathan Jones. Obviously, he's done a good job at Luton. I think he got the job at Stoke as well, Tom, I believe, but didn't work out too well.
Yeah, it didn't work out at Stoke, but Luton, he was honestly, he worked wonders. He was
Yeah,
brilliant. That's why I rate him very, very highly. But you are right, it didn't work at Stoke, and I wasn't convinced. Even though I was delighted to see an EFL manager get taken to the Premier League,
big jump. Yeah.
I wasn't convinced he was right for it. But I may be proved wrong. My wife's a Portsmouth fan, so she would
Oh.
love it if Southampton go down. Me personally, as a neutral,
Yeah.
I haven't really got any thoughts on it. Any kind of, don't really mind either way. But
Mm.
I would like to see him keep them up. I just don't think the fans are having him, and that does not help. It really doesn't help.
No, I think they've only had one win in 7, is that, and they beat Everton, I think, when Frank Lampard was still there. And
At Everton, at
yeah,
Everton.
yeah. Yeah, he hasn't said his recent comments haven't helped, and I'm not sure. I think even when Hasenhüttl was there, I was surprised Southampton came into the season as him still being the manager, to be honest, because the way he was talking last season, like he wants to give up football completely, to be honest. But
Yeah.
yeah, Nathan Jones, they backed him. You're right, Tom. They've backed him. Bournemouth and Southampton have had signings in. Everton's an interesting one because I said this before. We played them last game of the season last season. Tom They was awful.
Yeah.
But
I know.
luckily they by the time they came to us, they'd already stayed up. But I said they're going to struggle this season, and actually, I think it's been worse than what I thought it'd be. Dyche was linked with a job before, but I personally think the reason why I didn't get it is because I think Everton bottled it, to be honest, and they saw him as a bit of a firefighter manager, which is a bit unfair because he got burned into Europe.
But yeah, it's a good point you make there, because years and years ago, so it will have been, so they decided to change Allardyce for Marco Silva. When Marco Silva went, I remember saying, well, Sean Dyche is perfect. And he would, in my opinion, he would have taken that job. He would have left Burnley for Everton. And the job's come about 3 times since then. And to my knowledge, he's never even made the shortlist, right? But he's been interested. And I think the whole job is tailor-made for Sean Dyche.
Yeah.
So it's always been a surprise to me that they've not been fussed about him. Now, finally, when things are going really badly for them, they've said, actually, Sean Dyche might be the right man for this job. And I think he was the right man for the job. Maybe 4 years ago, he was the right man for this job. But there's only so much a manager can do. Everton fans' issue was not at Frank Lampard, by the way. It was at the owners. It was at the way the club has been run, which has been very well documented. They didn't really get on Lampard's back, but something needed to change.
Yeah.
Change of ownership can take months and months. Changing a manager can be like that. But in my opinion, they have got the right man. Absolutely 100% got the right man. And that means that in my mind, I don't even see their name on the relegation battle because of that.
Tom, you're 100% right. I think the fact he's gone there is, Tom, it was very, very, very annoying. And a lot of Arsenal fans knew this. They had a sneaky feeling he's going to come in the game before we played them. New manager bounce. Very difficult to beat. Sean Dyche loves playing against Arsenal. And you saw that with the Everton lineup. I mean, I missed the game, unfortunately, because I was at work, but I had to watch it back the following morning at about 6:30 in the morning because that's the only time I could watch it. But Everton, listen, they deserved it. The midfield trio of Anana, who's a good player, by the way. I think he's linked with Arsenal. Idris Gueye and Decore really just powerhouses, legs and energy. And Arsenal, what disappointed me slightly, going off topic, is that it's almost like they wasn't prepared for what was going to happen. And I was like, I know what was going to happen with Everton. But yeah, they've got a chance now. I think the problem in terms of the transfer side of it is, I mean, Dyche came in on the 30th of January. The only player that I think they was linked with, Tom, was what's his name? For Palace, Conor Gallagher.
Yes,
but I don't think. Yeah, come in, mate.
But they wanted a striker as well. They went in for Conor Gallagher. They weren't the only club to go in for Conor Gallagher. The problem was with Gallagher is Chelsea were happy to sell him. Conor Gallagher said, "No, I'm not leaving permanently. If you want to loan me, fine." But I'm coming back. I'm going to prove myself. And in fairness, he's played a lot for Chelsea, so it's a good attitude. And so Everton went in for him, but permanently. And he said, "I'm not. I'm not going permanently. So no. That's what happened, and that happened with a few clubs because Newcastle were in for him, and Newcastle could. No club can pay anyone more than Newcastle can. The way things are. So, but I don't think it didn't even get to that stage of where he was told how much you get paid. It was like, I'm saying at Chelsea, loan fine, permanent no. But Everton were in for strikers. They were trying very hard for a strike, which had a knock-on effect to Sunderland, by the way, because they recalled Ellis Sims. Yeah, it was like, well, you can have Ellis Sims. We've got to sign a striker first, and they never signed a striker, so it had a knock-on effect to us. But they were in for a striker as well as Conor Gallagher as well. But I do think they'll be fine because of the manager. And remember, the strikers have already got Calvert-Lewin. If he stays fit, he's an England international. Yeah, I've always liked Neil Maupay. I've always liked Neil Maupay, and he's fit again. And they've got Ellis Sims as well. Which, if you're not a Sunderland fan or a Blackpool fan or a Hearts fan, you don't realise how good he is. Yeah, but I'd love to see him get a chance in the Premier League as well. So I actually think they're fine. Honestly, I think the squad's good. Yes, there needs to be changes to the board. They've got a manager. There's no way they'll go down in. Well, I can't say that because he could come out to haunt me. But I don't believe they'll go down with Sean Dyche in charge.
Don't worry, Tom. I won't clip it. It's fine. Don't worry. Right, I'm going to give a special shout out to someone in the chat because Tom, I call her my Tottenham YouTube wife.
All right.
I expected, Holly, that the offer remains. I expect to see the divorce papers by the end of the season. Oh yeah, I still can't forget. I can't forget it. You know, our first double over Tottenham since 2013-14. Sorry to remind you, Holly, but it has to be said. But now, Tom, two more things before we move on to sort of next thing. With West Ham, I have to be honest. I didn't see the season coming. How poor they've been. They've got. I went through some of it. Like they've got 4-0s. Antonio's there. Jared Bowen, Souček. Obviously, Declan Rice is every link with Arsenal, which I would love him, by the way. I'll go down on record saying that. I'm surprised to see where they are. Are you or not really?
Well, at the start of last season, we had to give some relegate, which, by the way, as presenters, we're not normally given. Yeah. We're not normally asked for kind of predictions on relegation. But I was on the spot and I actually said West Ham last season would go down, and they ended up having an amazing season. They weren't far off Champions League, so I looked like a bit of a div. Anyway, a year later, I said, okay, yeah, I'm going to say West Ham again, right? But I didn't really believe it. I kind of just said it because I'd said it the year before. So, yes, I am surprised. But again, I don't think that they will go down. I think they will be fine. I think Rice will go in the summer, but West Ham deserve a huge amount of money for him because they've developed him and he is brilliant. I watched him. I got home from Millwall Sunderland in time to watch the second half of the Newcastle West Ham game.
Yes, good game.
And it's just like when you actually watch Rice play. Next time you're watching West Ham, take a few minutes to just watch Rice. He is something else. Just every touch, perfect. Clings to his feet. Every pass, inch perfect. He is brilliant. I love him. Now, West Ham have gone down with a better squad than this, right? Yeah. They have done in the past. They went down with Joe Cole, Glenn Johnson, and more. I think Carrick, maybe. Defoe,
he would have been there. Yep.
I don't think they will go down. I don't like David Moyes because of what he did at Sunderland. Am I surprised? I am a little bit, even though at the start of the season I actually did have them to go down, but I didn't really mean it. So officially, I had them to go down. I didn't really mean it.
Yeah, no, Tom, I hear you. I do. West Ham. One more team actually I want to talk about. I definitely don't want to forget. Obviously, teams come up from the Championship. Some come up and don't spend any money. Some come up and throw the kitchen sink at it. Nottingham Forest, back in the Premier League first time since 1999, I believe. 30 signings, Tom. Now, obviously, for time constraint, I'm not going to go through all of them.
Some of them have already gone. Some of them, some of them came in the summer and went again in January.
Yeah, where are they in the table? I think they. Where are they? Where are they?
I think they might be 13th. They're 13th. And they've got 24 points from 21 games. And if you think about it, a point a game almost always keeps you up. 38 points. Everyone says 40 points. 38 points keeps you up. But they're 3 ahead of that. They could lose their next 3, and they're probably still not going down.
Yeah, they're on a good bit of mini form. Last 5 games, 3 wins and 2 draws. 30 signings. You know what? 2 players I want to sort of home in on, Tom, is one that's already been there. Obviously, Brennan Johnson. For people that are old enough to remember, like me and Tom are 21 plus VAT. We come with receipts. His dad is David Johnson, former Ipswich striker. So
left foot striker.
Yeah, I think with Brennan Johnson. And Morgan Gibbs-White has been excellent as well. I think he's their record. Is he their record signing, Tom? Is he? I'm not too sure top of my head. 25 mil, I think it is.
He must be. He must be.
They now have obviously Steve Cooper deserves a statue outside the City ground if he keeps them up with that amount of signings in that short space of time. Because what people have got to remember as well, last season when they played in the Championship, they had a lot of loans. A lot of their players weren't even theirs for it, so they had to go through a complete restructure. They did 30 players, but. Yeah, Morgan Gibbs-White and Brennan Johnson, for me, if they do stay up, those 2 are going to be instrumental. Do you think so, Tom?
Yeah, well, Brennan Johnson, I saw a lot of him. Sunderland were in League One for 4 years, and Brennan Johnson came down on loan, not to Sunderland, but he played against us. I think it was for Lincoln. And he must have been about 19. Actually, he might only be 19 now. He was late teens, and he absolutely ran the show. Yeah. Completely, he was brilliant. He was too good for League One.
Yeah.
Then he's got promoted from the Championship and he's proven he's a Premier League player, which I always thought he would, but he's really shining. I'm really happy to see this. Brennan Johnson, you're absolutely right to single him out. Morgan Gibbs-White has been playing well. I his goals record isn't amazing, but I think Tayo Awoniyi,
Yeah.
if you watch him play, he's got everything a Premier League striker needs. So I actually think that he's going to shine for them, even though at the moment his goals to game ratio isn't brilliant. He's a good player. They've got Dean Henderson on loan, who may end up signing permanently. It doesn't look like he's too happy about staying at Manchester United.
No, he's not. No.
And they're in the right place to get him permanently. And they brought in on Sunday, crikey, Keylor Navas. Did you watch him?
Yeah, he's brilliant. Superb.
He was brilliant. And he got 3. People say, "Oh yeah, the English game, it's not for everybody." He got 3 stud marks to his cheek.
Yeah. Excellent.
Fine. Came out, kept a clean sheet. So although they did sign too many players, they know that, because that's why they've signed some and sold some, or loaned some out. They know they got that wrong. But actually, if you look at the players they've brought in, their recruitment's actually been very good. And Keylor Navas being the latest and gets man of the match in his first game.
Yeah.
But you're right, though. Brennan Johnson already there. He's the one. Love him.
Yeah. And they brought back, obviously, Andre Ayew. I think Andre Ayew's worked for Steve Cooper before, I think, at Swansea. I might have that wrong. Yeah.
Yes. When Swansea, on the last day of the EFL season, sneaked into the playoffs on goal difference.
Yeah.
Andre Ayew was in the squad and Cooper was manager. So, yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. See, my memory served me well. If I don't look my age, people, but memory sometimes it goes. But yeah, I remember very, very well.
You're right.
But quickly, Tommy, just remind me, about Declan Rice, going a little bit off subject, but big up, Trev's in the chat. Big up to Trev's Gooner. Arsenal fans drive me mad, Tom. Right, and we're always complaining about being behind the 8 ball, and the big clubs, getting players, whether it be English or some of the hottest talent European wise within the league. And I've got to be honest, I always thought Declan Rice ended up at Chelsea. So when the links came through about him, Arsenal, and I thought, oh, this is gathering a bit of traction. I would love him. But what it is with Arsenal fans is when we get linked with certain players, right, and heavily linked, by the way, they start doubting themselves. I'm not really sure, and he's English, he costs too much. I'm like, listen, if anyone, like you said with Declan Rice, that quarterfinal against France in the World Cup, go and watch that back. He was absolutely tremendous. He was brilliant. He's developed not just at West Ham, but for England. He can be box to box, or he can play that defensive midfield role. Listen, if he comes to Arsenal, I'll be jumping through cartwheels. I think he's excellent. So Arsenal fans, stop moaning. That's what I'm basically saying. But
he's amazing.
He's a brilliant
sign here. Well done. I assumed it would be a battle between Chelsea and Manchester City for him.
Yeah.
If you can nab him, well done. If you sign him, it could well go down as one of the best signings you've ever. Sol Campbell's probably the best signing you've ever made. Thierry Henry, maybe.
Yeah.
I think if you signed Declan Rice, despite the fact that he would cost a fortune, I think he'd be worth every penny and more.
And if I'm going to be really, really greedy, Tom, and I've said this before on my channel, if I
Bellingham,
I would love him, but if Arsenal got Rice and, for example, Moises Caicedo, wow. Listen, Partey and Xhaka are not over the hill, but Arsenal have to think long term and bringing through younger players within the league, which is the key thing. But Tom, great to get your thoughts on the relegation battle. We're going to move it on. This is quite a loaded one, but so European football, chasing European football places and mid-table talk. So, what club has impressed you the most this season, and what club has come up short for you this season? # there are no easy games.
Well, come up short's a very easy one. It's Liverpool and Chelsea.
Yeah.
I mean, Chelsea had a lot of turmoil in the summer, so you can kind of put it down to that. But Liverpool have been, I actually can't believe what I'm seeing with Liverpool, and it's quite, it's quite sad to see, because we know they've got a brilliant manager. They've got a very, very good squad. So they've surprised me. Chelsea are, I don't like the term in transition, but they are, and I think this summer Chelsea will sort everything out. They'll shift the players they want to shift, and their squad will be more streamlined and really, really good, and maybe a title challenge next season. At the moment, Liverpool just seem to be falling away, and they're the ones who surprised me the most. I can make excuses for Chelsea. I can't make an excuse for Liverpool this season.
Yeah, the Liverpool ones. I mean, Doug's in the chat is a big Liverpool fan. Yeah, they've got some key likes of Jota and Diaz are not there. Obviously Nunez's first season in the Premier League. Van Dijk's obviously out at the moment. People might even argue and say that since his injury, he's not been the best, should I say? But yeah, it has surprised you. Where are they in the table, Liverpool? Doug, tell me. You're going to tell me in about 2 seconds.
I think they're ninth. I've got it
10th
here.
Liverpool, yeah.
Oh, 10th, yeah.
Yeah.
So they've got 29 points
yeah.
from
And
20
Chelsea
games.
are above on ninth.
They've got 2 games in hand on Man U, who are third, and 1 game in hand on Newcastle, who are fourth. But even that win even if they win that, they'll still be 8 points off Newcastle.
Yeah, Liverpool's. Yeah, it's mad. You think last season was going through what? There's fighting on all 4 fronts. And Klopp looks. He looks like he. I mean, I saw his reaction on the touchline when they played Wolves. He looked bereft of ideas, man. I think he turned to Jordan Henderson behind him and say, what's going on? But
it was Jordan Henderson and James Milner, wasn't he? Kind of turned around. What do I do?
But yeah, Chelsea's mad, Tom. Was it over $500 million in 2 seasons? Since Todd Bowley's come in there. I mean, it looks scattergun. Some of the signings I don't get personally. I feel a little bit sorry for Madrid because obviously he was sort of the feeders are out there that he wanted to come to Arsenal, but
he did. He did want to go to Arsenal. Yes.
Yeah, but Arsenal didn't want to pay the money, which Arsenal been quite strict with that in terms of what they're willing to pay for players, which I do respect. I think long term, Tom. I think with Arsenal, sort of come back to Arsenal obviously again. If we win the league, touch wood. If Arsenal can't still get their number 1 priorities, then I would have to ask questions.
Yeah,
because if you can't get your number 1 priorities as league champions, something isn't right.
I think at this stage, see, everybody was always like, "Oh yeah, Arsenal are doing really well," but Man City are going to win the league. Now that's all changed. I was just looking at the Chelsea squad there to see who they could sell in the summer because they will sort it out in the summer. They've got so many players that they can sell. But I have noticed that the last, basically, not even since the World Cup, since maybe the middle of January, fans have started to say, actually, do you know what? I think Arsenal are going to win the league. And even whether you do or don't, the fact that you're definitely going to be in the Champions League, and the fact that you're obviously going to be close to winning the title, even if you don't win it, you're going to be close to it, means that if you are looking to sign these top players in the summer, you've got a real chance. And I also like the attitude of, well, we're not going to pay what we don't want. We're not going to pay over the odds for any player. We're going to stick to our guns. I actually like that. So I think Arsenal are actually in a great place, both in the league and off the pitch too.
No, good shots. Yeah, so sort of, Tom, move on to the other side. I would say the main 3 really, Brighton, Brentford, and Fulham have been absolutely fantastic. In terms of Brighton, Roberto De Zerbi's come in there. Brighton played good football anyway. I think the issue with them was that they couldn't really seem to find anybody to score goals. But they've been excellent. I think Brighton are 6th in the table, and Brentford 7th, and Fulham, Brentford 7th and Fulham 8th. Brentford, very good home record. I think Arsenal the only team to go there and win. But Tom, Brighton. What do you make of Brighton so far this season?
Yeah, well, they are currently 7 points off the top 4, but with a game in hand.
Mad.
On Newcastle. 2 games in hand on Tottenham, by the way, which if they win them both, they would go. Yes, they'd actually go above Tottenham if they win them both. But Brighton have been brilliant. When Potter went, I thought the whole club was like, when I was saying how Nathan Jones had the run of the show at Luton. It felt like everything was working in Potter's favour at Brighton. So when he left, I thought they might slip, but actually De Zerbi's come in and just carried it on. Very good players, incredible transfer policy.
Brilliant.
Them and Brentford, Brighton and Brentford transfer policy, brilliant. And look at where they are in the table with this transfer policy. All of this nonsense like, oh yeah, the league table is dependent on your wage bill and how much you spend. Well, like your net spend.
Yeah.
Well, Brighton and Brentford prove that is complete nonsense. And I love to see them doing very well. I think Newcastle, Arsenal, and Manchester City will obviously finish in the top 4. I think that Manchester United in pole position to finish in the top 4 as well here. Tottenham might be able to catch them. They're so inconsistent. The outside bet there for me would be Brighton.
Wow.
Brighton might be able to finish top 4, but I think it's probably more likely to be a fight between Manchester United and Tottenham for that 4th spot.
Yeah, I'm just looking at particularly with Brighton and Brentford, like the mini form guys, Tom, are pretty good, man. I mean, Brighton 1 defeat in 5, 3 wins and draw. Brentford, who Arsenal have got on Saturday, by the way. I won't be going to that game, but I should get them in time to try and watch it. 4 wins out of 5 and 1 draw. Brentford, they've been excellent, and I think even when the Everton job became available, Thomas Frank's name came up. I was like, I can't see that happening. I can't see him going to Everton.
No, I think Thomas Frank's been wanted by quite a few clubs, but he just fits in well with their. When I said about Tony Mowbray at Sunderland, he just gets on with the job. He understands the role, doesn't win, just gets on with it. Thomas Frank's like, well, I know the way the club works, and I'm happy with it. So that's why it works. You know, everyone's in kind of harmony there. But Brentford, because you've got Brentford and then Man City, haven't you? And these
I'm going to the Man City game. I can't wait already.
Oh, brilliant! Who was I on with on Sunday? Who was talking about who was going? Oh, Jay Bothroyd.
Jay Bothroyd, yeah.
Jay Bothroyd. He was saying he was going. God, Brentford next. They're good, and then it's Man City. Everything could change in these next 2 weeks. He said that as a former Arsenal player.
Yeah, and
it made me sit up and think, ooh, that really. I mean, everyone knows Man City's a massive test, but Brentford, crikey, they are.
Brentford's
so you're right to highlight them because they are. I don't think they'll make top 4, by the way, but I'd love it if they made it into Europe.
Yeah, and also just quickly talking about Fulham. Marcus Silva. Listen, I thought Fulham would start when they came up. They've done better than I thought they would, actually. I think they've been excellent. I watched them properly play for the first time. So I was sat down and watched the game when they played Chelsea. I thought they was excellent. The boy in midfield for Fulham, Paulinho.
Yeah.
Look at him. Yeah, he's brilliant. But no,
he's excellent. But they're getting the best out of it. Like Harrison Reed. I used to watch him in League One, thinking I didn't think he was that good. Now he's playing in the Premier League, but really playing well. Like completely deserves it.
Tim Ream.
Tim Ream. Got a new contract as well. You know, you never would have thought it. Mitrovic. Oh yeah, he can do it in the Championship, not the Premier League. Nonsense. Look at him now. So Silva's getting the best out of them because I didn't rate him at all, Silva, until now. But he's kind of shown that he's learned from his mistakes in the past at other clubs.
Yeah, Tommy, make a good point about Silva quickly. Because I'm sure I got this right. I know he's obviously done well at Fulham, but I mean, I think he came in sort of the time in the Premier League when Hull were in the Premier League, gave them a fighting chance of staying up, but went to Watford, Everton, but he never actually completed a full season at the club, which is not really a tag you really want as a manager. But obviously Fulham, he's come in and, you know, he's got them up and they're playing fantastic football. So do you feel a bit different now about him?
It's just if you keep giving a manager a chance, surely they should get it right, and he has got it right because Hull, you're right, he gave them a fighting chance, but he did so well with them at first. It looked like Hull were definitely staying up.
Yeah,
and then they struggled at the end of the season and went down. So you're like, oh, how good are you? Got the Watford job, 8 games in or something like that. He applied for the Everton job, and everything went wrong because he wanted to go. Watford wouldn't let him go. Eventually, they sacked him because like the form just fell off a cliff after he wanted the Everton job. Eventually, got the Everton job and really didn't. He did not do well at Everton.
Yeah.
He's been given another chance, albeit in the Championship. Fair play to him. Yeah. He's been very, very good.
Yeah, it's now fair play to him. He has been good because, like I said, you don't want as a manager coming through to be seen as, you know what? Because other prospective clubs will look at you and go, you know what? He ain't done too well there. He ain't done too well there. He ain't lasted the full season here. So he's to fair play to him, like you said, he's done well at Fulham and getting them up and consolidating them in the Premier League. But some fantastic chat on that. Right, let's get to the top end of the table. Arsenal fans, you've been very, very, very patient in the chat if you're still there and when you watch this back. But yeah, it's Tom, I've got to be honest, it's been, if I can find it, where's it gone? There we are. So what clubs will achieve top 4? And who has the edge in the title race and why? #twists and plenty of turns.
Yeah, you're definitely pole position in the league, but have you still got to play Manchester City twice?
We have in the league, yes. Home and
Okay,
away.
well, you see, that's a big one. Who are you home to them first or away at them?
We're home on the day after Valentine's Day, so yeah, 15th at home.
It's a midweek.
Yes, midday.
Wednesday.
We mentioned
That's a Wednesday.
because Tom was originally meant to play the game. Oh God, I think it might have been October. I can't remember.
Queen's
But
funeral.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So that's
But
right.
they moved it.
Okay. See that those two games will decide the title. It's that simple. You might drop points elsewhere. Man City might drop points elsewhere. But there's 5 points in it. Am I right? 5 points in it.
5 points, Tom. Yeah, we've got a game in hand.
5 points in it. Those two games will do it. Even if you draw them both, I think you'll win the league. Draw one and lose one.
Yeah.
Very, very tight.
Yeah.
Even, you know what? When I say the same thing, if you draw them both, I think you win the league. If you win one, lose one, I think you win the league because it's the same thing as drawing. Same amount of points both sides. I think if you win one of those games, you win the league. If you win both of them, even the most pessimistic Arsenal fan will say you'll win the league. But it is on those two games. If you win one of them or draw them both, I don't see them making up the 5 points. The only way they make up those 5 points is by taking at least 4 points off you. They maybe need to take 6 off you.
Yeah. Many Arsenal fans have been asked whether you have an Arsenal channel like myself and many others, and if you don't have one and you're on the social medias, can Arsenal win the league? And I say Arsenal can win the league. Will they win the league is another question. I have to be honest, and I'll speak for a lot of Arsenal, but obviously going to speak for myself because it's my channel. I didn't see this coming. No Arsenal fan saw this coming. Even the most positive, whether you go to church every day of the week, no one saw this coming.
I didn't see it.
No, not two back-to-back 8th league finishes, and then how we capitulated by not getting Champions League football last season. And we come into this season, we haven't got a massive squad. We're back in European football. We're missing our main man up top for the last 3 months, and we're still top of the league by 5 points with a game in hand. Arsenal fans, stop complaining. You heard it from Albert JTV first. It's incredible. Depending on when you're born, and you can't help it as an Arsenal fan. I'm lucky enough, Tom, as you know, like I said, 21 plus VAT. I've seen Arsenal win league titles before the introduction of the Premier League. So it goes back that way. Kevin Campbell, love him if you're listening, love you to bits. But
great man.
But to be in this position as a younger Arsenal fan, hopefully the Arsenal gonna give us something to shout about and get our first league title since 03-04. I'm still a bit concerned in the sense of a particular area of the pitch centrally. January transfer window, Tom, I'll be honest, Arsenal fans, I don't like it because traditionally we're not very good at it anyway. I thought at the start of the window, Arsenal would bring in 2 players. I wasn't particularly sure what areas they'd bring him in, but I was actually quite glad they brought in a left-sided centre-back because I personally think Gabriel's played way too many games this season. And I don't think he would have played that many games if we had adequate cover at left-sided centre-back. But we brought in Jacob Kivior. Don't know too much about him, but, left-sided centre-backs are a diamond. There's not many of them out there. So we got one in. We obviously brought in Trossard, which I thought was a very shrewd bit of business. Despite Arsenal fans getting caught up with his age, which I still don't really get. But anyways, and obviously we brought in Jorginho, which to some Arsenal fans, it felt quite underwhelming at the time, if I'm being brutally honest. But it's weird with Arsenal, Tom, because actually, I want to get your thoughts on it because it bugs a lot of it kind of Arsenal fans don't really get it. It seems to be, I don't know why, when it comes to buying players within the central area of the pitch, midfield players, Arsenal just can't seem to get it done. And this is not just this season. This has been seasons gone by. I don't know. As someone who's not an Arsenal fan, do you see this? Do you hear this problem a lot with Arsenal fans?
Yeah, well, under Wenger, you needed a holding midfielder for about 10 years. He never used to sign one. He would put he'd drop Wilshere deep, or even Santi Cazorla would play a little bit deeper. And now you've actually, you've been targeting that area and done well. I mean, Partey and Shaq. By the way, Xhaka, have you seen Xhaka's attacking stats this season?
No, tell me, Tom. I want to hear it. Go on.
Xhaka hasn't been playing as a defensive midfielder. Xhaka is I'm sure he's second for chances created in your team.
Wow.
And he's playing in midfield, in a deeper midfield role alongside Partey, right? But I know what you mean. Every Arsenal fan that we heard from doing the transfer shows, when they would tweet in, they'd say, well, we need depth in central midfield. But you have now got that. And I know that Lokonga went out.
On loan to Palace, yeah.
But you brought in Jorginho. He clearly wasn't... Arteta clearly didn't really trust Lokonga in a big game.
No.
He will trust. So actually, although in terms of numbers, it's the same in central midfield, in terms of quality and trust from the manager, Jorginho does actually improve the depth in your squad. So I think that's quite a shrewd thing. I don't know much about Kivior at all.
No.
I know what you know. I know he's left foot centre back. Will probably play if Gabriel is injured. The thing is, if Gabriel gets injured, he probably moves Ben White into that position and plays Tomiyasu. So I don't think he necessarily plays. I think Kivior's one for the future. I can't see him play much this season. He might even bring Holding in ahead of him. And you did strengthen by bringing in Trossard. I think right now Trossard is a better signing than Mudryk. Long term, Mudryk's younger, obviously, and has more potential. But Trossard, for now, for winning the title, Trossard, that's a blessing for you, because Trossard will do more than Mudryk between now and the end of the season. Not necessarily in the future, but between now and the end of the season, Trossard's a better signing. And I do think that Jorginho does give you more depth than some of the Arsenal fans may think, because he's clearly more trusted by the manager than Lokonga was.
Yeah, ball retention and just awareness probably in that central area. He will obviously improve us, and there's going to be games where we're not going. I think the Everton game was a prime example. Teams are going to be happy to let us have the ball, and it's up to Arsenal to break down the teams in their low blocks, and they're not going to give us space. They're not. They're just not, because this is a different Arsenal side this season. But no, listen, like I said, we've got a big game obviously on Saturday against Brentford, and the Man City game next week, Wednesday. Yes, can't wait. I'll be it'll be a massive game. And like you said, if Arsenal can win the home game, massive pole position.
I think if you win one of them or draw them both, I think you win the league.
I'm glad you said that, Tom. Listen. Like I said to people, ask me in the January transfer window, or ask me when we play Man City, and I can give you a definitive answer. But
I think that's fair.
It's looking promising, people. So I can't complain.
Oh yeah, definitely.
In terms of the other spots, top four, who do you think is going to get that? So we've got obviously Arsenal, Man City, Man United, Newcastle, and Tottenham just behind Newcastle, 39 points. Newcastle 40 points.
I mean, Arsenal, Man City, and Newcastle will be the top three, 100%. And I at the moment, Man City, I know they're Manchester United, I know they're third. I probably would say they'll get fourth. Tottenham might catch them, but don't rule Brighton out. I think that fourth spot or fourth Champions League place would be between Manchester United, who I don't gamble, but if I was a gambling man, I'd probably have them for fourth.
Yeah.
But you can't rule Tottenham out, and I wouldn't rule Brighton out. But I think obviously Arsenal, Manchester City, and Newcastle, 100% top four.
Yeah. Newcastle, they've I mean, their fans must be in dream world. I don't know to talk about them too much, Tom, because obviously you're a Mackham and Sunderland fan, so I don't want to talk about Newcastle too much. But yeah, listen, the days of Bruce and Pardew and what they've seen this season, they must be. I'll tell you something. If Eddie Howe, if they win that Carabao Cup, and he gets them top four, which is a good chance he will.
I think he'll do both of those things.
He needs to get a statue outside the stadium, because Newcastle have won Silverwest in '69. That's a long time. They've not been in too many finals since then either, to be quite fair. So
yeah, you'll not get a statue for a League Cup win. But yes, I absolutely get your point.
Yeah.
When he was at Bournemouth, he didn't know how to get a side to defend.
Yeah.
He's gone away, had a break, studied how to defend.
Yeah.
And they just never look like they're going to concede.
No.
So he's been amazing for them. Newcastle fans keep saying, but they're a couple of injuries away from being a mid-table side. But I'm not actually. I don't really agree with that. I think they will finish third, unless Man City could fall off a cliff as well. Everything that's going on there.
There's a lot going on there. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. Let's say if it affects them, Newcastle could even finish second, to be honest.
Wow. Now, let me come to this chat quickly because Jay, you know I love you, but again, we have another Tottenham fan in the chat. So, Jay, keep wishing, mate. It's all right. You never know, but yeah, the top four. So yeah, Arsenal, obviously, Man City. It's going to be tight. Brighton, I think, I've got a couple of games in hand as well, as you mentioned about them, Tom. But Arsenal will definitely be back in Champions League, people. So we can definitely look forward to that. It's been a while, 6-7 years. That's too long for a club of Arsenal stature. But Newcastle drawn a lot of games this season, and they turn them into wins. Tottenham, you've got no idea what you're going to get with them, to be honest with you. And obviously, Hugo Lloris is out for 6-7 weeks. Tom, just a quick question about Man City. Cancelo going to Bayern Munich?
Oh, I said it on air. I used the word flabbergasted. I couldn't believe it.
I was shocked.
It made no sense. Like, let's say they needed the money, okay, but they don't get the money till the summer.
Yeah.
So, and do they have cover? No, because remember he's been playing a lot of the time at left back.
Yeah.
They haven't. I mean, they let Zinchenko go, who was playing left back.
Yeah.
Obviously, Benjamin Mendy as well was playing left back. They were kind of shoehorning either a right back or a centre back in like Nathan Ake, Laporte, Aymeric Laporte. They were putting them at left back. They've sold him and not replaced him. Rico Lewis is playing very well, but Rico Lewis again isn't actually a left back.
Yeah, he's not.
They've got it. They've got Sergio Gomez. Is that his name?
Yes.
They signed a left back.
Yeah,
Sergio Gomez.
Yeah, that's him.
They don't trust him in the big games. They've clearly been some sort of a fallout. I don't know what that was, but there's no way they let him go, only on loan. All right, they get the money in the summer, but without replacing him, I can only think they've had a fallout. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird one. Obviously, United actually bought in Marcel Sabitzer. That's a shrewd signing. Weghorst, and they got Jack Butland in on loan as a goalkeeper. But yeah, listen, top four title race could be interesting. As an Arsenal fan sitting here, Tom, it's hard to refrain from smiling like a Cheshire cat. But I'm quite composed and quite calm. But yeah. Tom, it's been fantastic to get you on. But one more thing I want to ask you before we sort of wrap up. People, thank you for people in the chat. Very lively for an early Thursday morning. I'm quite impressed, to be honest with you. Should start my own breakfast show. But people, little intro break before the last question to ask Tom. So if you don't know what to do by now, people, this is what you should do. And there you have it, people. Surround intro into subscriber to Albert J TV. If he's wondering what that music was, that's what it was. So, Tom, one more question on weekly surgery for me and yourself. I call it curveball question because I didn't tell you about this one.
Yeah, go on.
Nothing too fancy. Right. What Premier League player has impressed you the most this season? #baller.
Dan Burn, Newcastle.
Good shout.
Because first of all, when he signed last January, it was like Newcastle got all this money and they've signed Dan Burn. He played centre back last season and was excellent. This season, remember, they've got Matt Targett, who's a left back. We've got Jamal Lewis, who's a decent left back too. Premier League quality. They put Dan Burn there because Targett and Lewis were injured, and he's not given up his place. And when it got to the World Cup, everybody before the World Cup picks their England squad, their own England squad. I had Dan Burn in it.
Oh wow!
So, and that's so it's actually him, and everyone knows I'm a Sunderland fan, but Dan Burn, he's been really, really good. What I've said for about 4 or 5 years now is that Fabian Schär at Newcastle,
excellent,
is the most underrated player in the Premier League. This season, people are starting to rate him. So I'm reminding everybody of what I said. I said Fabian Schär, and he cost them 4 million.
Yeah.
Dan Burn is starting to be in that bracket as a very, very underrated player and playing out of position, but he's not playing it like a centre back.
Yeah, it's true.
He's holding a left back. He's playing as a left back, and he's doing really, really well. Newcastle defence in general has been amazing this season. But Dan Burn is the Premier League player who's impressed me the most. Sunderland fan, I don't hate Newcastle at all. Sunderland fan, love playing them in derbies, love beating them in derbies if we do. But I certainly don't hate them, and I'm big enough to admit that they have impressed me in general, but in particular Dan Burn.
Tom, good shout. And the fact that you said a Newcastle player shows how big a man you are. Well done, mate. Good shout. But my player, actually, it's actually quite an easy one. Brighton player, people. Karu Matoma.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Honestly, every pundit we have on won't shut up about him.
Yeah.
But no one had heard of him, including me.
No.
He has been a revelation. Again, but that's Brighton's transfer policy.
It's mad.
Amazing.
Yeah, Tom, they got him from August 2021, 4.5 contract. For that, I don't know what the fee is. People might tell me in the chat quickly. From Japanese J League One, Kawasaki Frontal. That's where they got him from. He's been excellent, man. I was like, wow. Brighton again, their business. I mean, Leicester got a lot of credit for a number of years, rightly so, because they brought in some gems. But Brighton, wow. But yeah, Matoma, from what I've seen, excellent. You can't stop scoring goals. I think he's got 6 goals this season and 1 assist. So yeah, that's my player this season who's impressed me the most, people.
Yeah, good one. Good one.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom. Yeah, Doug's put a good one in there as well. Yeah, Sven Botman's been excellent as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Good shout. But yes, people, weekly surgery at Albert JTV household is now closed for the day. I want to thank my amazing people in the chat. Actually, firstly, you've been fantastic. As always, smash the like button if you haven't already, and subscribe to Albert JTV. And if you're not following Tom White already on the socials, then what are you waiting for, people? It should be already done by now. Tom, I want to thank you for coming on once again. Great to catch up with you, as always, and keep smashing it at the ballpark as you do on Sky Sports News, mate. Thank you.
We'll get you on. I promise we'll get you on.
Tom, it'd be much appreciated. Listen, as we spoke before when you came on Live Stories, which was a brilliant episode, people. If you haven't seen it, Holly, my Tottenham wife, if you're in the chat, I'm going to tell you off because you said you was going to watch it. You haven't watched it yet, but go and watch it. Now, but Tom, it's a pleasure to get you on. And welcome to, thank you for coming on for weekly surgery. We got through.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Always a pleasure.
So let me find if I can find my outro, that might help. Let me see. Where's it gone? So yeah, no, people, like I said, I'll put this on my audio later for you guys so you can hear it on Spotify and Anchor. So that is me and Tom over and out, people. Weekly surgery is now closed, episode 20. I will see you soon for episode 20 for 21. Take care, people.